Hey everybody, it's me again. Still haven't figured out a good channel name. Uh, so I want to talk about the Superman movie, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my previous Fantastic Four thoughts. I'm going to read the review I wrote about the new Superman movie, and I'm going to expand off of that and see what comes out. And let's go. So, all right, so I gave Superman the same horrific score I gave the Fantastic Four. You guys must think I'm really grouchy bastard. And you know what? That's fine. So let's see. I gave it a 0, and I started off with, they done you bad, Soups. As a comic book fan of both DC and Marvel, mainly more into DC, I've watched every DC movie, TV series, tunes conjured up, obsessively loved even the worst of the bunch, and I have to say, this is embarrassing that everyone is saying how good this is. I know standards are practically non-existent, but this was a mess of epic proportions. I'm very open-minded and love some of the campiest superhero fantasy sci-fi movies you can think of. But this was just a whole compilation of nothing. And yes, I've seen James Gunn's Marvel films and like them very much, but his style was awful for Superman, and it really shows that he should stay away from bigger heroes like my boy Soups. Um, I also want to add to that. I didn't just watch James Gunn's Marvel films. I don't know why I didn't say this, but I was also a huge fan of what he did with the Suicide Squad. I thought he fucking saved the Suicide Squad. I loved that movie. I loved how crazy and stupid and weird it was. And I also liked the Peacemaker TV show with John Cena. I thought that was really fun. Like I loved that show. I loved the Peacemaker show so much that I even read the Peacemaker miniseries from like the late 1980s. I mean, I thought it was really cool how James Gunn brought like these obscure characters that you would never even think of, and he would make them interesting. Like I'd be like, "Oh shit, I got to check out the Peacemaker. I got to read it more just to know what he's like." And yeah, like the miniseries comics of Peacemaker weren't even anything like great, but I liked them. So he made me like characters that I never even thought I would even look at. So, no, I'm not a James Gunn hater. Let's get that out of the way, because I see how people are talking on the internet about this. Like, oh, bro, you're a Snyder fan. You hate James Gunn, or vice versa. You know, that bullshit. So, glad to get that out of the way. I don't hate James Gunn. I like pretty much all of the stuff that he made previously. So, let me get back to what I wrote. I really tried to like Superman. The beginning was a horrible hook that felt empty, and the quick introduction of all of the characters felt lacking. That's how I felt with the Fantastic Four. I mean, I know they have to do it now because they're skipping the origin story stuff, but it just doesn't work for me. It just I mean, I'm not saying to go back to the origin story stuff, but there's got to be a way, like maybe just jump in. Like maybe you don't even have to tell us about like, oh, Superman has been Superman for 3 years and he's doing this. Like, bro, this is not a historical movie. Like, this is not like I'm watching Saving Private Ryan, and you have to give me like those cool text in the beginning and like explain to me the historical context of the situation. This is Superman, dude. Just jump into the action. That's it. I don't need the explanation. Like, let me build up the world in my head. Don't spoon feed me because the information you give me kind of sucks in the first place. And it's lame. It doesn't give any mystery. It doesn't leave anything open. Uh, okay, so then I say, yeah, sure. They wanted to skip that and get on with the action and assume everyone already knows these Superman characters, and yeah, we do. But this fails to work because these are all new actors and actresses. So instead of developing them and getting the audience to grow a new connection with new faces, the film just says, nah, we're just going to jump into the middle of the comic and forget about character development. World building be damned. So what I'm saying here is Uh, well, I think it's pretty clear what I'm saying. But yeah, that's how I said the same thing in Fantastic Four. That you don't need an origin story, but you at least need room to breathe for us to grow into these new people. Really, I think that's very important. We even watch like the TV shows. Like you watch Lois and Clark, the 1994 show, and I'm not saying that's anything amazing. Okay, no, it's very cornball. I'm not saying that, but I do like that show. But even that show, like doesn't just jump right in. Like you get into the character, the new guy, what's his name, Dean Cain, and the Lois Lane actress, and it slowly gets you back into it. It doesn't tell you everything in the beginning, and you kind of get into who they are a little bit, and you like their intricacies, you like the way they act, the way they move, and you grow into it, and it makes the corniness, it makes the goofiness bearable because you like who you see. You like how they act. So, now, I at first did not like most of this new cast, but listen, here's why I think I'm a little reasonable here. But as the film went on, I saw some potential in Lois and Clark, especially when they argued in the apartment about Superman intervening in foreign affairs on his own. David Cornsweet showed moments of good acting and tension and really gave me the feeling that he believed in what he was doing, and Lois shined a bit too. I liked how they disagreed and thought this would be a good subplot, but instead of them being lovey-dovey the whole time. But this goes out the window pretty fast. Yeah, like I heard people complaining about that scene. Actually, they thought that Lois was kind of a bitch, and Superman was acting like a fucking whiny baby. I guess, but I didn't really feel that. Like I thought, like Superman really believed that he had to go to like that other country, and he wasn't like he's not owned by the American government. Like Superman is not owned by anybody. Like yeah, sure he represents us. He's got the colors and everything. And yeah, I know they got rid of the truth, justice, and the American way, which does piss me off. But nonetheless, like he's not owned by any country. He goes where he thinks he should be helping people. That's Superman. He helps everybody. So he really believed that. And Lois, I mean, she had good points too, though. Like, should you really be meddling in other affairs? And I guess people could bring up this is political. This is the modern political stuff being injected into the movies. I don't know. I mean, didn't the Zack Snyder films do the same thing about that? And I guess it's just their way of bringing in a little realism. I don't really mind it a little bit. I kind of like the friction. So I thought they were going to build up a little bit on that with Lois and Clark. I thought like I would have liked them to kind of have this friction with each other, and maybe like it was slowly like they would come to a compromise about it. But that doesn't happen at all. Like it's like that friction just disappears, and then it's like I don't know, like the build up just goes away. I don't know what happens. And it just all these other things steal the show and steal the Lois and Clark connections, and it's like I don't know. It just lost me with the Lois and Clark. I just feel like they kind of wasted that potential that these two that they had. I thought they could have had something more. So back to the write-up. I liked how they disagreed and thought this would be. Oh, I said that already. The pacing and editing felt worse to me than when I saw the Joss Whedon Justice League back in 2017 in theaters. I even walked out of that movie only to fall in love with the full 4-hour Snyder version in 2020. Now, okay, all right, guys, relax. I know that's a red sign. You're going to say I'm a Snyder bro. No. Just listen. Hear me out here, okay? I'm not going to compare this to the Henry Cavill movie. I'm just going to talk about this movie on its own. I'm not going to do that, okay? I'm just making the point that I'm open to a movie if I didn't like the Justice League movie in 2017 because how shit it was. It was shit. Don't tell me that was a good movie. But I liked the 2020 full version. So I'm just making the point, like, I could start off hating something and not liking it, but I'm open to giving it another chance if you give me what I think is good. I'm very open with that. And if you edit this Superman movie, this David Cornsweet, James Gunn movie, if you edit this movie and add more to it, and I think the pacing needs to be changed. I think the pacing needs to be expanded. It's a little slow, a little more serious. I think I could fall in love with it. But in its current state, I do not like this Superman. In this current state. So, and I know we're not going to get a new version of it, so that's a whole other story. All right, so back where I was. Now, I didn't walk out on Superman because I wanted to see it through. On the pacing, for example, Lex Luthor would say he was going to set out a distraction for Superman. The scene shows two of Lex's goons releasing a little monster out into Metropolis at night. Okay, cool. That should be a nice build-up. Nope. Bam! Right away, it cuts to the giant monster in the city of Metropolis fighting Superman. To those of you who watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but for those of you who still haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it goes from the little monster walking to cut, bam, giant monster falling against the building, being pushed by Superman. It was like boggling. I was like, what? Not even a build-up? Like, not even being saved for later? It was just, it just didn't feel right to me. It just felt like it felt like there was a huge slither of the movie that was cut out or something. I don't know if I'm crazy, but hey, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe what I was saying before might come to, maybe they have a full version out that's going to come out in a couple of years. I don't know, but I feel like there was a huge portion of the movie that we missed. And there was a huge amount of development and that's why I didn't feel any connection to the characters. Like, I feel like there was something cut out from this movie. I can't be the only one who felt that. All right, so then I say there were many jerky cuts like this throughout the movie that just made it feel lazy and took away any stakes or tension that could have been built. Another example, during the Pocket Universe part, I did like how Metamorpho helped Soups and thought the film was turning around and maybe it would get better. I mean, I was hearing some reviews, people talking about that part, and I noticed most people didn't even know who this character was. Look, I'm not even joking. I was surprised. I'm like, I mean, I know Metamorpho is kind of like an odd, obscure character, but I know who Metamorpho is. I mean, I've read some of the stuff. I read like the newer comics that a couple of years ago that came out, although I think it was a year or two it came out ago. And I think they're only like up to issue 5 or 6 on that one, and it's got like this, it's new, but it's like got like this cool like 60s vibes to it, and like the classic comic design, you know. And I have like a couple of the old Essential Metamorpho DC Showcase books in my collection. But I was surprised that even like some of the so-called like comic review guys, like they didn't even know who Metamorpho was. I mean, you could clearly see that he's Metamorpho. But I guess maybe the film failed in that. I mean, maybe the film should have made it more clear, you know, because to other people it was just some guy with these weird powers. I don't know. Maybe that was, I don't know. Seems like that should have been clear. It was clear to me. It came through to me, but other people, I guess, it went by. I don't know. But yeah, I really like that they put Metamorpho in there, and I thought it was going to turn around, but even they didn't do too well with that. It didn't work out too well. So let me go on. Well, it didn't. It didn't turn around. It just kept getting lame. So lame that for the first time watching a superhero movie, I found myself lost in my own train of thought, not really into it at all. Wondering to myself, is it over yet? From there, it was just cookie cutter scene after cookie cutter scene, and it felt like so safe, so clean. And speaking of clean, am I the only one who felt like the palette and lighting was overtly white, bleached, and too bright? Like there was very little color in the environmental shots. It just felt like one big white blur. And I could bring, I don't know if I bring it up, but one example, like, you know that scene, I know you see it in the trailers, but when you actually see it in the movies, it's even worse. Like, you know that scene where they show Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl and what's his goddamn name? Guy Gardner. They're flying in the city, and they're like the three of them together, and there's like this shot, like this. there's something really weird about that shot, and it looks so fake, and the coloring and the lighting, it just looks so fake, and it's just so uninspired looking. I don't know, like it didn't even look cinematic. It looked like it just looked too clean for me. It looked too clean, and not in a good way. Um, I didn't like the style. Oh God, and that reminds me. I don't even know if I brought it up in this written review. Do not get me started on how they wasted Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl was done dirty in this movie. Poor Hawkgirl. I mean, god damn. Hawkman. Now, say what you want about Black Adam, the 2019 movie, but they did Hawkman right in that movie. I loved Hawkman in Black Adam. I thought he was fucking badass. You tell me that Hawkman in Black Adam was not cool. Great armor, great action scenes. I loved his design. I even got a McFarlane figure. I got him hanging up on my ceiling. Like, I love Hawkman from Black Adam, and I love the scenes he was in. Now, I was excited that they were going to have Hawkgirl because I like Hawkgirl too in the comics. But oh my god, dude, it was just disgusting what they did to Hawkgirl in this. And she's the actress who was on the Last of Us season 2. She played Dina, and as I do not like that show. That show is a lame and it's inferior compared to the game. But that's a whole other subject. I don't want to get into that now. But that actress is a good actress. I think she's very good. And they diminished Hawkgirl to a screaming banshee that just fucking flies around and just fucking. I don't even know what she's doing. I don't even know what she is in this. She's not even cool. Her design is lame. Her action scenes are disgusting. Like, there's scenes where she flies towards the camera, and well, it happens to everybody in this. And I know other people are complaining about this too. Like this kind of fisheye camera lens against the characters when they're flying towards you, and it just looks off. It doesn't look good at all, and she looks awful when they do it in this. They really did her dirty in this. I think Hawkgirl deserves better than that. So off of my Hawkgirl tangent, let me get back to the writing. So I say here, the cinematography was lackluster, nothing felt real, everything felt like stock footage you buy for your school project back in 2019, or stuff you see in expensive advertisements. No style, just vomit-induced ADD CGI splattered all over with some of the worst fighting I've seen in animated in such a huge budget movie. All right, now you guys are going to get pissed off at me at this, okay? You guys are going to get pissed. I even said here, what you want about Man of Steel 2013, but none of the fights in this new iteration hold a candle to the dark, impactful fights in that movie. And the city destruction was so realistic in 2013 compared to what they produced in this. Now, guys, I don't want to get into this is not a Snyder thing. I know I made the mistake of comparing the two movies, but frankly, I'm right on that one. I am right on that one because look, let me give you an example. Relax. Let me give you an example. Do you remember that part in this new Superman movie where like there's a building falling down, like when the Lex Luthor fucked something up with the pocket dimension, and like Metropolis is splitting up into two, and Mr. Terrific is like doing his cool shit to figure out how to fix it, but while that's happening, the whole city is falling apart. Well, like there's this part where this one like tall building is like falling, and it's gonna fall on the bridge, and like Superman stops it to save this one woman in a car who was like too slow to drive away, which was cool, but there was something about the way that building was falling like that, and I swear it looked like a Looney Tunes thing. Like it looked really. I was not in it. I was not like. I hate to say it, but like. Even though the Man of Steel movies, like they're dark and like I agree with most of the criticism that the Henry Cavill Superman was dark, and like I don't think he was an optimistic Superman. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people that say like, look, I loved the Man of Steel movies, but like If I had to choose between Christopher Reeves or that, or an optimistic Superman or a dark Superman, like I'm gonna pick the optimistic Superman. Like he's just more fun. I enjoyed it. Like even in the comics, like I like the fun Superman. So I think they were trying to do that with David Cornsweet, but for me, they failed on that aspect. Like everyone is trying to sell him as optimistic, and there were moments where he had that moment. I'm not saying he didn't, but it was either the script or the pacing that took it away from him. It didn't allow him to consistently stay this way. But anyway, like in the Man of Steel movies, when the cities were being destroyed and people were running and terrified, like I was actually terrified with them. I even remember some of the feelings I had. Like it invoked, like when I watch footage of 9/11. Like that's how I felt watching those clips from when I was watching Man of Steel. Like, and the buildings were being destroyed and people were getting crushed or destroyed. And even in the Batman versus Superman, like when they were going back to that, like those destruction scenes invoked the 9/11 feelings in me. Like I felt horrified. I felt horrified. Like I felt sad. I felt like I was with those people. When this city was being destroyed in this new movie, they save every single person. They figure out how to get everybody underground from the pocket dimension. And I mean, it was just so fucking fake. It was just like there was no stakes in this for me. I didn't feel any. I wasn't scared for anybody. I wasn't worried somebody might actually die. I just didn't feel like anything mattered in this movie, quite frankly. So I go on. I say, oh, you guys are going to fucking be pissed off at me. I said this was the Flash levels of embarrassing. But honestly, even the Flash had better moments and scenes than this. And I'm talking about the Ezra Miller movie. And clearly, they copied some dumb ideas from the Flash in this. Oh, I bring up an example, don't worry. I say, oh, this pissed me off, guys. Remember when the Flash saved the baby falling from the building by putting it in a microwave or something? Well, there was a scene in this where Superman is protecting Metamorpho's baby while getting thrown around at insane speeds. No way the baby would survive, at least in the way they showed the action in these scenes. It was absurd. Oh, and I'd like to add an edit to that. Yes, I know we could say, oh, Superman was probably, while he was going through all these crazy motions, he was making sure that his hand was staying at a certain velocity so that the baby's neck wouldn't snap, and that it was like, even though that Superman was going at these like super speeds and being thrown around, he somehow had like the baby in like a stasis in a safe speed. You know what I'm saying? Superman science. I get it, but it's just weird the way they did it. Like, and I bring this point out in my writing. I say here, what is DC obsessed with babies being thrown around absurdly? Is this to be expected with every new DC movie now? There is so much more to criticize than to praise, if anything at all. Older films and TV shows might not have been perfect, but certainly captured Supes in a much more flattering way than this. Christopher Reeves 1 and 2, superior, not 3 and 4. 1994 TV series Lois and Clark, very good. And yes, even the Snyder versions were good, great even. Not Reeves' perfection, but good in their own right, having some of the best over-the-top destruction and action, but still feeling grounded enough to keep you in the world. DC is not returning to form or making a comeback. This only makes me worried about Batman. Hopefully Batman stays out of this style, and just for you guys to know, I do like the Matt Reeves Batman movie, but I'm not going to talk about that. But one more thing I want to bring up. I know I was totally down on this movie, but one thing I would add, I don't think David Cornsweet was a bad pick. I don't think the actress who played Lois Lane was a bad pick, but I think the script was horrible. I think the story was horrible. You have a lot of the good ingredients in here, but it didn't come out as a good cherry pie. It just came out as a mess. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. If you liked it, let me know. If you don't, you can let me know too. Like and subscribe, I guess. Have fun, and thanks for watching.